You know, there's a real power in being underestimated, a kind of quiet strength you can only build when no one is watching. This is a story all about that power, about building an entire empire in total silence, not for a round of applause, but for the deep satisfaction of proving a lifetime of judgment completely and utterly wrong.
So, I want you to imagine this. You're sitting at this incredibly fancy family dinner, and the air is just thick with condescension. And then your own father, with this little smirk, leans over and says, That one sentence. It's the final straw after years of quiet insults. The one push that would change absolutely everything. But to really get the weight of that moment, we have to go back.
In this family, everybody had a role. And these roles weren't just suggestions, they were branded onto you. You had the golden child, the brother, who got a party for every little thing he did. And then, well, then you had our protagonist, cast as the family scapegoat, the one who could never, ever measure up.
And here's the crazy disconnect between what they thought was happening and what was actually going on. On the left, that's their story. The useless child with a little hobby, just playing entrepreneur. But the reality hidden behind this wall of silence was a completely different world. We're talking 80-hour work weeks, fueled by nothing but coffee and a burning refusal to fail. Every single dollar was poured right back into the business. This wasn't a hobby. It was the slow, painful construction of an empire.
And this wasn't just some unspoken feeling in the air. Oh no, they said it out loud. It was basically the theme song at every family get-together. And these words, coming from a father, they weren't meant to inspire. They were meant to hurt, to keep the family hierarchy exactly where it was. The message was clear. Your only job is to cheer for your brother's success, because there's definitely not enough room for two of you.
So what do you do when you're told there's no room for you at the table? You stop asking for a seat. Our protagonist made a choice. Instead of begging for their approval, they just went quiet. They retreated into this long, disciplined silence, secretly working. No more updates, no more defending their life choices. They just built. And that silence, it became an armor, protecting their dream from all that constant criticism. Okay, this timeline is where it gets just wild. It's like two parallel universes. Year one, they're starting a company in a garage, and the family's asking, when are you getting a real job? By year 5, when revenue blows past $1 million, they're talking about wasted potential. And get this, even in year 7, after buying out a major competitor, the advice is still, you should really ask your brother for career tips. The irony is just staggering. They were so busy judging, they completely missed the show.
And this number is the result of all that quiet work. $8.5 million. That's the valuation of the little side business after just 7 years. This wasn't just success. It was a secret so big it made their entire reality a joke. A number that just made all their little condescending comments sound completely absurd. But here's the thing about that secrecy. It started as a shield, a way to protect the work. But over time, it became its own kind of cage. It actually let the family keep believing their false story. And that's when the realization hit. To be truly free, the truth couldn't stay hidden forever.
So it all comes to a head at this place, Brookhaven, an exclusive old money country club. The event? A dinner to celebrate the brothers' latest promotion. But everyone knew what it really was. It was an ambush, a performance of status carefully designed to remind the protagonist of their place, once and for all. This place was their home turf. They'd been members for 30 years. It was a symbol of everything they cared about: status, appearances, exclusivity. The whole point was to make our protagonist feel small, like an outsider who didn't belong. And for most of the night, they played the part perfectly.
This line, which comes a little later in the night, tells you everything you need to know about them. It's paranoid, it's accusatory, and it's completely self-absorbed. Their first thought isn't, wow, how did you achieve this? It's, how does this make us look? They just assume it's all a game of social chess, because that's the only game they know how to play. And there it is, the catalyst. The waiter brings the bell, and it is an obscene amount for one dinner. He places it on the table like a challenge flag. And that's when the father, just bursting with condescending pride, turns and delivers the final perfect insult. How's the little side business? Think you can cover the tip? But this time, something is different. There's no anger, no defensiveness, just a cold, quiet clarity. The years of being the family punching bag, the invisible child,
It was all over. It was time for everyone to check the math.
The first move is completely silent. A card they've never seen before slides onto the table. It's not platinum, it's not gold. It's a black, unlimited card that just whispers a level of wealth they can't even comprehend. It's a status symbol so far beyond their world that it shatters their entire definition of success in a single instant.
And then come the words, spoken calmly. No malice, no excitement, just a simple statement of fact. Their temple of exclusivity, the very stage they chose for this final humiliation, it wasn't their territory anymore. It was just another asset on a balance sheet. The silence that followed was deafening.
And just to make sure there were no arguments, no way to dismiss this, the facts just started dropping. $35 million. That was last year's annual revenue. A number so huge, so concrete, you just can't call it a little hobby.
This table is the Checkmate. The valuation? Almost $250 million, 412 employees, a whole portfolio of properties. And then, the final, most devastating blow, their own investment portfolio, the source of all their family pride, was now just a subsidiary of the very company they'd been mocking for years. They weren't looking at their disappointing child anymore. They were looking at their boss.
And in that stunned, broken silence, the real truth finally slipped out. An accidental confession from the father. All those years of insults, the criticism, the so-called tough love, it wasn't to motivate. It was because they genuinely believed deep down that the protagonist would fail. They never had a shred of faith. Not one.
And just like that, the family roles that had been set in stone for decades just dissolved. The powerful patriarch, the golden child, the judgmental mother, all their power just evaporated into thin air. The entire world had been flipped upside down, not with a shout, but with the quiet, undeniable weight of success.
And this is the new boundary, laid out with calm finality. It's not about cutting them off from the money. It's about cutting them off from the victory. Their approval was never the prize. And at this moment, it became completely and totally irrelevant.
So, it really leaves you with a question, doesn't it? Was this whole thing an act of petty revenge, or was it something else entirely? Maybe a necessary rebalancing of the scales, the act of taking back the story of your own life. It's not about destroying them. It's about finally refusing to let them destroy you. And that's really the heart of it all. For years, the family had already decided the protagonist was the villain, the selfish one, the difficult one. But on this night, a new role was chosen. Not a hero, not a villain, just someone who was finally and completely done being the victim.